Last time on My Evil Stepfather and His 5 Daughters, Raina endured maltreatment and was forced into servitude in her own home after her mother Cindy disappeared without a trace 3 years ago. Eventually, her stepfather sent her to work as a maid for the wealthy Smith family. However, a shocking revelation emerged. Mrs. Smith, whose given name is Carol, is actually Raina's mother Cindy's long-lost twin sister, adopted as a baby. With this newfound knowledge, they hired investigators to search for Cindy while keeping Raymond in the dark. Now, let's jump into part 2 of this gripping story. Carol and her husband, Mr. Smith, continued their investigation with the assistance of the private investigators, following a promising lead to a remote community far removed from the city's hustle and bustle. There, they encountered a woman named Miss Jenkins, whose weathered face bore the traces of a lifetime marked by struggle and resilience. As Carol and Mr. Smith approached, accompanied by Raina and the private investigators, Miss Jenkins's heart skipped a beat. At first, she mistook Carol for her daughter, Cindy, her eyes brimming with tears of disbelief and joy. However, as Carol drew closer, Miss Jenkins realized her mistake and gasped in astonishment. Her legs grew weak, and she reached for something to sit on, her voice trembling with emotion as she exclaimed, "Carol, my daughter, is that you? I never thought I'd be alive to see you again." As Carol embraced her, tears streamed down her face, and she introduced herself, asking Miss Jenkins to verify her full name. With a tremulous voice, Miss Agatha Jenkins confirmed her identity, her heart overflowing with a flood of emotions. As Raina stood behind Carol, tears glistening in her eyes, Miss Jenkins recognized her granddaughter and beckoned her closer. With a cry of love and longing, Raina rushed into Miss Agatha Jenkins's arms, yelling, "Grandma," as she nestled her head against her shoulder. With tears welling in her eyes, Miss Jenkins, the woman Carol and Raina sought, recounted her journey as their biological mother, revealing the tumultuous circumstances that led to their separation. She spoke of a tumultuous marriage marred by abuse, the discovery of her pregnancy with twins, and the agonizing decision to part with one of her newborn daughters in a desperate bid for their survival. In poignant detail, Agatha described the heart-wrenching moment she entrusted Carol to the care of an orphanage, clinging to the hope of reuniting with her cherished daughter once she could provide a stable life. However, fate had other plans, as financial struggles and unforeseen obstacles thwarted her efforts to retrieve Carol. With unwavering determination, she embarked on a tireless quest to track down the family that had adopted Carol, fueled by an unyielding desire to reunite her twin daughters. Yet, despite her relentless pursuit, the trail grew cold, leaving her haunted by the agonizing uncertainty of Carol's fate. In the aftermath of Carol's adoption, Agatha devoted herself wholeheartedly to raising Cindy, pouring her love and strength into providing for her remaining daughter. Through hardship and adversity, she persevered, ensuring that Cindy never lacked for care or affection. Despite the trials she faced, Agatha remained steadfast in her commitment to her daughters, finding solace in the bond she shared with Cindy. Together, they weathered life's storms, forging a deep and unbreakable connection that transcended the trials of the past. For years, she held tightly to a secret, one she vowed never to reveal to her beloved daughter, Cindy. Deep within her heart, she harbored the truth that Cindy had a twin sister, Carol, who had been separated from them at birth. Agatha's decision to keep this knowledge hidden stemmed from a desire to spare Cindy the pain of feeling incomplete, haunted by questions about her lost sibling. Despite the burden of her silence, Agatha remained steadfast in her resolve, determined to shield Cindy from the heartache that had plagued their family for so long. And so, the truth lay dormant, buried beneath layers of love and protection, as Agatha vowed to safeguard her daughter's happiness at any cost. As the years passed, Agatha carved out a modest existence, working tirelessly to make ends meet and secure a better future for Cindy. Yet, the absence of Carol loomed large, a lingering ache in her heart that refused to fade. Driven by a relentless longing to reunite her daughters, she never ceased her search for Carol, clinging to the hope that one day they would be reunited. In her quiet moments, she whispered prayers for Carol's safety, sending her love across the vast expanse that separated them. Through twists of fate and the passage of time, Carol and Raina's journey led them back to the doorstep of their long-lost mother and grandmother. In a poignant reunion, they embraced the woman whose sacrifices had shaped their lives, weaving together the threads of their shared history. With tears of joy streaming down their faces, they vowed to cherish the precious bond that had endured despite the trials and tribulations they had faced. As they embarked on a new chapter of their lives together, they carried with them the indomitable spirit of a mother's love, a beacon of hope that had guided them through the darkest of times. After Agatha shared her story and her reason for giving up Carol, Carol assured her that she held no grudges and had forgiven her mother Agatha even before seeing her in person. It was now time to continue the search for Cindy, with the investigators taking the lead in questioning their mother Agatha about the last time she saw or spoke to Cindy. The atmosphere grew tense. Agatha recalled the last time she spoke to Cindy vividly. It was right before her marriage to Raymond. Feeling a sense of unease, Agatha advised Cindy against the union. Raymond didn't seem sincere, and the wedding felt rushed, especially considering they had only just met. Agatha voiced her concerns about Raymond's struggling business and his get-rich-quick schemes, but Cindy didn't listen. Despite Agatha's insistence on not attending the wedding, Cindy went ahead and married Raymond against her mother's wishes. This decision put a strain on their relationship, and Cindy became distant, eventually ceasing her visits altogether. It had been over 8 years since Agatha last saw Cindy, and the last time she saw Raina was when she was just 5 years old. Although Cindy sent money regularly for her upkeep, Agatha couldn't shake the pain of her disapproval of Raymond and the growing rift it caused between them. With the investigators meticulously noting every detail Agatha shared, they also gathered information from Raina regarding the last time she saw her mother, to which she recounted her memories. Armed with this crucial information, it was time for them to head back to the city and intensify their search for Cindy. It was now time to head back to the city, but Carol insisted that her mother, Agatha, accompany them. Though hesitant at first, Agatha packed a small bag, locked her doors, and followed her daughter and granddaughter to the city in search of Cindy. Carol was eager to confront Raymond, but her husband, Mr. Smith, tried to calm her down, emphasizing the importance of allowing the professionals to handle the situation. They couldn't afford to make any mistakes, as Cindy's life may depend on it. With Cindy missing for over 3 years and the slim likelihood of finding her alive, any information they could gather from Raymond could be the turning point in their search. Agatha listened to her husband, nodding in agreement, and took a deep breath as they continued their journey back. It had been days since Mr. Smith and his wife, Carol, returned to the city, and they had used this time to devise a plan on how to approach Raymond without revealing Carol's true identity as Cindy's twin sister. Collaborating with the investigators and local law enforcement, they concocted a strategy for Carol to impersonate Cindy and return to the family home. By doing so, they hoped to gauge Raymond's reaction and discern if he was involved in Cindy's disappearance. While Raymond would be preoccupied with the reappearance of his purported wife, the search for the real Cindy would continue unabated. With determination, Carol agreed to take on this risky task. Initially, her husband didn't like the idea, concerned about the potential danger posed by Raymond, the main suspect. However, Carol reassured him, expressing confidence in her ability to handle the situation. She assured her husband that recording devices would be discreetly wired to her, providing a means of monitoring her safety and gathering valuable evidence if the situation took a dangerous turn. Now it was time for Raina to provide information on the layout of the house and where the security cameras were hidden. Raina meticulously detailed all the checkpoints and shared every detail she could recall about the home, both inside and out, ensuring that their plan would proceed as smoothly as possible. With Raymond and his daughters being secretly monitored, the stage was set. Recording devices and cameras were strategically placed, and Carol eagerly awaited their return. She knew that once they were back, she could initiate the first phase of her plan to locate her twin sister, Cindy. Moments after Raymond returned home, Carol wasted no time. She approached the house, ringing the doorbell repeatedly until eventually, one of Raymond's daughters answered, surprised to see what she thought was her stepmother, Cindy. Rushing to call her father, Raymond appeared at the front door, witnessing the shock in his daughter's eyes. Before Carol could speak, Raymond began to shuffle and slurred speech, questioning how Cindy could be there. With widened eyes he clutched his chest. It was at this moment Carol asked him if he wasn't gonna invite her inside. Raymond stepped aside and welcomed her inside, asking where she's been and how she got home. Carol, still in character, expressed being tired and needing a glass of water. As one of her stepdaughters rushed to give her the water, she took the opportunity to tell Raymond that she doesn't remember much. He assured her that he'd take care of her. She smiled and asked where her daughter Raina was. With panic on his face, Raymond concocted a lie about Raina's whereabouts, stating that she's away on a trip with her school and she'd be back in a couple of days. Confidently asserting that Raina is well taken care of, he was convinced that his made-up story was believed by Cindy. With Kira, the second of Raymond's daughters, bringing water for Cindy, all the girls rushed to her and hugged her. They immediately picked up on her accent and asked her why she sounded different. Cindy told them she wasn't sure, as she didn't have much memory of the past few years. When they asked where she had been, she told them she found herself in the hospital about 3 days ago and was told she was found wandering the streets without memory. She managed to trace her way back to her home, with bits and pieces of her old life coming back, but the last 3 years were a complete blank. With Raymond sighing and hugging Cindy, they all laughed and welcomed her home. Later that night, while Cindy slept in Raina's room, Raymond wandered the halls of Cindy's mansion, pacing back and forth, contemplating how to retrieve Raina from the Smiths. Gathering his 5 daughters together in the kitchen, he discussed the importance of keeping Raina's whereabouts a secret and sticking to the story that she was away on a school trip with her class. Without hesitation, the girls agreed, and their father sent them back to bed. Early the next morning, Cindy woke up early and began preparing breakfast for the girls and Raymond. As they slowly awoke to the sweet aroma filling the air, Cindy called them to freshen up and gather in the dining area for breakfast. With a sense of urgency, they rushed to the bathroom to clean up, then eagerly headed to the dining area to eat. With smiles on their faces, they thanked Cindy for the delicious food and welcomed her home once again. They expressed how much they had missed her and how relieved they were that she was home and well. Later that day, Raymond left the house, informing Cindy that he was heading to the office. She smiled and nodded in acknowledgement as he departed. Raymond rushed to Mr. Smith's office, panting and sweating, and desperately asked for a loan, promising to repay it within 6 months. He also pleaded to bring Raina back home, expressing how much he and his other children missed her. However, Mr. Smith didn't agree to any of Raymond's requests. He reminded Raymond that he had already paid for an entire month of Raina's service, and it had only been a week. If Raymond wanted Raina back home, he would have to reimburse the money for the remaining 3 weeks. Despite Raymond's pleas and assurances, Mr. Smith stood firm on his decision. He insisted that Raymond remember the terms before considering taking Raina home and asked him to leave, citing his busy schedule. With no other choice, Raymond left the office, wondering how he would explain to his wife Cindy when Raina didn't return home in a few days. With time ticking away and Cindy back home, Raymond felt the pressure mounting. He knew he had to come up with a plan to prevent Cindy from discovering the truth, that he had emptied her account investing in his dubious businesses and had sent Raina away to work as a domestic worker for the wealthy Smiths. Desperation gnawed at him as he scrambled to devise a scheme to keep his secrets hidden and maintain the facade of normalcy in their household. As Raymond walked back home with a heavy heart, he shook off the worry and fear, putting on a smile as he approached the doorstep. Stepping inside, he greeted his wife with warmth, assuring her to relax as he would be making dinner that evening. Cindy smiled in awe and gratitude, expressing her excitement to taste his cooking. With determination masked by his facade of normalcy, Raymond entered the kitchen and began prepping to start cooking, concealing the turmoil brewing beneath the surface. As Cindy slept soundly, Raymond served their meals with a heavy heart, the weight of his secrets pressing down on him. He gently woke Cindy, who joined him at the table, but soon began to complain of a stomachache. Concerned, Raymond rushed out to the nearby store to fetch some medicine, returning swiftly to his wife's side. Cindy took the medicine and returned to the dining table to eat the meal Raymond had prepared. As they conversed about the future, sharing hopes and dreams, they enjoyed their meal together. Raymond, consumed by guilt and anxiety, cleaned the table and started doing the dishes. Suddenly, a piercing scream of agony echoed through the house as Raymond collapsed to the floor, clutching his stomach in agony. Cindy and the children rushed to his side, their faces etched with fear and confusion. Cindy immediately dialed for an ambulance, and within minutes, paramedics arrived to rush Raymond to the hospital, leaving Cindy and the children reeling with shock and uncertainty. As Raymond's daughters hurried to the hospital, they found Cindy waiting anxiously in the lobby. When the treating doctor emerged and requested to speak with Raymond's wife alone, Cindy's heart raced with apprehension. In a private conversation, the doctor delivered a chilling revelation. Raymond had ingested a lethal poison. If he had arrived at the hospital just 5 minutes later, the outcome could have been fatal. Shock and disbelief washed over Cindy as she absorbed the dire news. Unable to contain their concern, Raymond's daughters overheard the conversation and rushed over, demanding to know who could have poisoned their father. The revelation sent shockwaves through Cindy and the 5 sisters, leaving them grappling with fear and uncertainty about the sinister threat lurking in their midst. Who do you think poisoned Raymond? Share your thoughts in the comment section below. Stay tuned for part 3 of this story. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to this channel, and make sure to turn on the post notification bell so you don't miss any uploads. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next video.